Good morning. My name is Lisa Wilson and I am from Savannah, Georgia. I'm honored to have been asked to talk to you guys today and share my family story. I'm also very appreciative for the work that you all are doing on the campus of the University of Georgia. I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for the walks that you take to check those automated external defibrillators on your campus. Thank you for making sure that they're rescue ready, that the batteries are charged and the pads are up to date, because by doing this, you are taking on the opportunity to make a difference and possibly change the life for someone else. I want to also tell you that I am not a public speaker, that I am coming to you as a nurse, as a wife, and as a mom to share our story, again in the hopes that it will resonate with you and help you understand how you can and are able to make a difference. 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago, I became a nurse. I married the man of my dreams and we began what became a very good life. In 2013, Kenny and I felt really happy where we were. We had two beautiful children who were in college. We had jobs, our house was warm and our pantry was full, and there was just a really good feeling about where we were. And then all of that changed with one phone call. On the morning of January 17th, 2013, I was working and my phone rang. I picked it up. I saw Cory's number. Cory was our son. And I picked it up and I said, "Hey buddy, what's up?" And I didn't hear anything on the other end. So assuming that he was probably talking to his friends or his girlfriend or his teacher, I waited for a few seconds and then I said, "Cory, hey baby, it's Mom, what's up?" And then I heard a very soft, tearful voice of a young woman. And she said, as best I can remember, something like this: "Miss Lisa, come quick. Something has happened to Cory. He collapsed in class and he's not breathing." I don't remember all of that conversation, but I remember asking, "Where is he? Has 911 been called? Is an ambulance on the way? What is going on?" And I remember vague answers like, "Yes, an ambulance has been called. No one is doing CPR, but someone is about to try. But we just need you to come quick." So I took my keys, I left, and I began the journey towards Statesboro. My husband had gotten a similar call, and we arrived at Georgia Southern at approximately the same time. There were hundreds of kids outside of the emergency room. We walked in to tears and cries and thoughts of worry and concern, and we knew that Cory was on the other side of the door, and we felt sure that within a few minutes we would be able to comfort those students and we would have news for them that Cory was fine. But we walked through the emergency room door, and in a situation where there's usually just lots of chaos and people are busy and doctors are shouting orders and nurses are running, everything was going on, and when we walked through, the ER went silent and everybody just put their heads down. And that was our first true indication that things weren't well. A doctor came to us, took us to another room to prepare us for what we would see, and she began to tell us what she knew of this story. She said that Cory, as it was told to her, was in his class that morning when he suddenly collapsed. He went down beside his desk, but he made some noises which we now know were agonal breaths, which signified cardiac distress. But he made those sounds, and his friends, knowing that he was always silly and laughing, thought maybe he was pretending just to be really tired or snoring, and did not really understand this was an emergency. When it was determined that Cory was not playing and that he was not breathing, an ambulance was summoned. Someone in the class at some point in time did attempt CPR, but unfortunately the efforts were all in vain. Campus police came to the scene, the AED remained in the car, and the campus police officer that initially responded was sent back to get his AED. As the story goes, when he went outside, he heard an ambulance, and thinking, and we understand those thoughts, that would make the biggest difference, he waited for the ambulance to come. But what happened during those valuable minutes is that Cory's life was slowly slipping away. When we went into the emergency room, to the room where Cory was, I noticed initially that Cory had some redness in his cheeks. And knowing that that was very normal for Cory, as his mom, I thought, okay, he's okay, he's gonna be okay. This is just something that we're working with, and he's gonna be okay because he still has color. Nurses were lined up and gloved, and CPR was ongoing, and I watched as efforts to revive him continued to fail. As a nurse and a CPR instructor myself, I asked permission to help Cory. I said, please, can I do CPR on my son? Because I'm his mom. And if anybody can make a difference, we have it like that. It's gonna be me, I just know it. And the doctor allowed me to do CPR on Cory. I did 2 minutes of CPR and fell into the rotation with the other nurses, and we did that several times until finally the doctor said to me and my husband, Cory's not gonna live. We're going to stop the code. And at that time, I went ballistic, hysterical. I was like, I'm not tired. I can do CPR for 2 more minutes. I can do CPR for a long time. We can't stop, he's gonna live. And she kept saying, Mr. and Miss Wilson, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And as we stepped away from the table, I had no idea how I was gonna live the rest of my life without my son. Minutes later, Kenny and Morgan, our daughter, and I stood in a room and tried to pull together what all had happened. Cory was a healthy 21-year-old male. He had had a physical in December in preparation for his intramural sports that he so enjoyed. There was nothing to indicate that he had a problem. And to our knowledge, we still have no firm diagnosis. All that we have been told is that it was very likely a fatal cardiac arrhythmia. Following Cory's death, we came home and tried to pull our lives together. Through the support of family and friends and our community, we continued day to day, wondering how we would still move forward. One Sunday, after Sunday school, our Sunday school teacher came up to us and said, you know, I've had this thought circling in my head. I ran it by my wife and some friends, and we want to have a baseball tournament. We want to do something to honor Cory's memory. Cory was an avid baseball player. He loved anything outdoors. He enjoyed scuba diving, riding his motorcycle, fishing, boating, just anything that had to do with the outdoors. In fact, there wasn't much about life that Cory didn't enjoy. And to have a baseball tournament in his memory seemed like a really good idea. I wasn't sure if we would have enough teams to play in the tournament, and I voiced that concern. And our Sunday school teacher laughed and said, remember the movie that said, if you build it, they will come? We're going to build it, and it's going to happen. And a difference is going to be made through this tragedy. That was the birth of the Fireball 40 Cory Joseph Wilson Memorial Baseball Tournament. The idea behind it was to raise enough money for one automated external defibrillator to be able to place that defibrillator at Cory's favorite baseball field in hopes that it would never be needed, but with the knowledge that if it were needed, a difference could be made for someone else through our tragedy. We are now moving into our 5th year of the Fireball 40. Our first year allowed us to buy not 1, but 3 AEDs. Through the efforts of the Fireball, through the foundation in Cory's memory, the Cory Joseph Wilson Memorial, and through many other community efforts, we have been able to raise enough money to place over 33 AEDs in our community. At the time of the printing of the brochures that you all have been given, over 8,000 people had received cardiac awareness education. And as we move into this video, over 10,000 have now received that same education. What I want you to understand is that Cory was only one person, but his life and now his death are continuing to make a difference because people are understanding how they can, through cardiac awareness, through CPR training and AED usage, change the course of life for someone else. I hope to be able to come and speak to you all personally at some point. There's so much about Cory I would love to share, so much about our family that I would love to share, but I know you have other people to speak. I just want to say again, thank you for working so hard to make a difference in your community. Cory's story has permeated our community, our state, and our nation. At the time of this video, I'm actually preparing to go to Washington, D.C. with our daughter to speak on cardiac awareness and education and to encourage continued funding for efforts that can save lives. I hope that you will take a look at our website, www.fireball40.org. I hope that you'll like us on Facebook, Fireball 40. And most of all, I hope that you will take this time in memory of my son, in honor of our family and all that we're trying to do, and in appreciation for the opportunity that you have to make a difference. I hope you will take that difference and check every one of those AEDs and check the ones that you aren't responsible for, because you have the power to change a life. You have the power to be the difference for someone else. And I thank you again for all that you do. God bless.